Welcome back to the 10-Minute Professional, a professional development podcast designed to help you navigate the political landscape of corporate America while maintaining your sanity and hopefully not becoming a soulless monster. My name is Gabe, I am your host, and I believe personal and professional development needs to happen around the clock. Time is money, and money's needed for life, so let's not waste any time and get to work so we can get back to focusing on our lives. I believe there are two specific skills which are crucial to excelling in any workplace at any level, from entry level to chief executive officer: confidence and communication. For today's conversation, we will discuss how we can establish confidence. It's nearly impossible to overstate the value confidence can bring you in all aspects of your life, but especially in the workplace. I cannot count the number of talented, intelligent, hardworking, and capable colleagues and friends I've met who lacked confidence for no obvious reason. Today, let's break down the steps we can take to get us headed down the path of feeling happy, healthy, and most importantly for today's conversation, confident. Also, a quick word of shameless self-promotion. If you're interested in establishing a marathon mindset through an athletic lens, I encourage you to check out another podcast I created entitled Anyone Can Run. Self-confidence is likely based on a number of factors and circumstances, but I'm no psychologist or mental health professional. I believe there to be a quote-unquote big three components which make up the foundation of self-confidence: personal and professional experience, self-awareness, and how we choose to view others. I'll break down each of these components to illustrate how they impact one another. As a former certified personal trainer who worked with a number of hotshot athletes, the biggest misconception I've observed about self-confidence is that it is inextricably intertwined with a specific set of knowledge or tangible skills. For example, if you take someone who has completed multiple Tough Mudder races, or a concert pianist, or an audio producer, or a skilled glassblower, and drop them into a corporate environment for the first time, it's certainly possible those individuals will feel insecure in that circumstance. However, I do not believe we need to conflate our self-confidence with our personal or professional experience, so long as we've adequate self-awareness. I'm a big fan of translatable skills, and if you've completed Tough Mudder races, you've spent time training, endured quite a bit of physical pain, and are likely acutely aware of your physical capabilities. If you're a concert pianist, you're comfortable being in front of a crowd, need to be incredibly detail-oriented, and have spent an insane amount of time training as well. Same goes for a glassblower or producer. These are endeavors that require you to be cognizant of how you learn and develop your skills, and also require a tremendous amount of discipline. Learning how to navigate a corporate environment is significantly easier than any of those, in my opinion. However, it does require self-awareness, organization, and remaining cognizant of your communication at all times. We've all had first-day jitters when entering a new environment. Consistency and discipline, in my eyes, are the antidote to self-doubt, and action is the antidote to anxiety. Personally, I don't see why a new environment should have any impact on my self-confidence. And that is what I mean when I talk about self-awareness. There's a personality question my wife asked me one time. Let's say you run into an acquaintance you knew a decade ago, but you weren't really close to them. Let's say you run into them at a high moment. Maybe you just won an award, you're feeling great, you're having a good hair day, your career is going well, whatever. They see you, they say hello, and then say something along the lines of, "Wow, it must be nice to have everything come so easy to you." How do you respond? My lovely, caring Virgo wife said her first thought was, "How dare you? Do you have any idea how hard I've worked?" And thoughts along that trajectory. My gut response, and the words that came out of my mouth when my wife posed this hypothetical to me, was, "Must be." I am acutely aware of the time and effort I've expended to improve my skills, my creative endeavors, my health, my profession. I do not forget any day of struggle or frustration, nor do I forget the countless hours I've spent in the gym, in front of the computer, or laying in bed unable to fall asleep. And neither should you. I know what pain I've endured physically, mentally, and emotionally to get where I am today. And like Elton John said, I'm still standing, and you know what? So are you. This is the crux of today's conversation. Others do not have the ability to adversely impact or disrupt your self-confidence unless you give them that power, so don't. I am willing to admit when I make mistakes. I know I am capable of anything, but no one can master everything. And I know there is always more to learn. That is the power of self-awareness. When we are aware of the efforts we've exerted, and we realize when someone is trying to trivialize or belittle those efforts, whether intentional or not, this can help us ignore, deflect, or minimize the impact of such negativity. I know we just spent the last few minutes talking about how we can more or less downplay the impact others have on us. But let's talk about the third factor we mentioned at the top of our conversation: how we choose to view others. I don't know your personal learning style, but I learn quite a bit from observation. I like to sit back and keep quiet while gathering data or forming an impression of those I'm around. This may be interpreted as passiveness or indifference by some. However, especially in the office, remaining engaged in one-on-ones, actively making small talk, and volunteering ideas upon occasion have proven effective to combat any misconceptions. What I mean by how we choose to view others as a key factor in our self-confidence is changing our behavior to better ourselves and those around us. Also, doing our best to minimize raw emotional responses. If you see someone who does something you like or admire or find beneficial, why not do the same? If you see someone who smiles when they talk and you like that, give it a try. If you don't like being micromanaged, do your best to combat it by keeping meticulous notes, ensuring everything is documented in an easy-to-comprehend format and is as organized as possible. If or when you get the opportunity to manage someone, don't micromanage, but focus on substantial and tangible feedback, both positive and critical. If you like how organized someone is and have the opportunity, talk to them about it, or just do some research on your own to try to see what methodology they're using. As we've touched on multiple times, people are our most important asset when navigating the corporate world. And unfortunately, we don't always have the luxury of having a dedicated mentor or someone to lean on or a specific resource to provide personalized feedback. That being said, if we choose to view everything as an opportunity and every person we encounter as someone we can learn from, we may not feel so defensive and we may feel a little more confident. So long as we're willing to get creative, to trust and have honest conversations with ourselves, we maintain enough self-awareness to be cognizant of where we need to improve, and if we model our behavior after those we admire, then I suspect that we're headed down the road to developing genuine self-confidence, the kind of self-confidence which cannot be shaken by another individual and translates to all aspects of our lives, not just who we are when we clock in for the day. I look forward to our next discussion, and I hope you stay happy, healthy, positive, and above all,